Hello, my name is Gemma. I'm a criminologist and a mother. So, in this one, I'm going to talk about how, we can understand occults, but we can understand occults in a negative way. Okay, so we're going to press this one because it might be my last one, right? That's because of things that are unrelatable to media or anything like that, right? But it's serious. Okay, so that's all I'm allowed to say. I might not post again. I might have to take it down. But I'm not. So let's get into this one, cults, right? So usually what I've spoken about in the past is a cult is like a psychology, a sociology, it's a social science. We underpin this as a social science when we go through understanding subjects within our basic GCSE, right? So this is kind of like a social science, right? So we can understand a cult from a social science when we sit back and understand it from this perspective, okay? So when we understand occult sciences and stuff like this, it's because it's different. Okay, it's almost like a different field. Okay, so people can be really scared about this, especially when it comes to like a religious underpinning, because it's almost like the opposite side of the tree. Okay, so some people can be really apprehensive about this because they might fit a mold in a sphere or a travel. They might fit that mold. They might agree with it. Okay, so let's get into this. Okay, a Kabbalah is a travel. Okay, so it usually is a travel, and it's like to me, I can see it, but it's like a religion to a religion, and it's connected. So that's what it looks like to me. Okay, and I'd also like to state is that the Kabbalah or just on depicting it. So when I look at this, I see Jewish doctrine, right? Jewish, and it's there, and this is the rise. I do understand, right? And this is Jewish, okay, and it is, and I'm Jewish as well. So I don't know if this might be a reason why it stops, but I don't know. But this is partly why, because I'm a Kabbalah initiate. I am Jewish. I understand this, and I'm exploring it so I can pass it on to you guys. Okay. So when somebody says to you, right? Let's move that. Let's get into this. When people want to make us think that, it was normal for us to experience these things or anything like that, that's not true. Okay. So if you're listening to things like, oh yeah, it's normal that you were put through these things as a child, it's a state in evolution, it's a point of call, right? What it is, it's a mixed message. Okay, so one, I'm gonna say it happened to you, it shouldn't have happened to you. Okay, so it shouldn't have happened to you. So if you was hurt or abused, it should not have happened to you, right? And then we separate that, it shouldn't have happened to you. Okay, regardless of the timing, it's not acceptable, but it's happened, so we have to somewhat accept that an energy was given to us that we did not agree with. So we was kind of like pushed into that space. Okay, we were pushed into it, and it was because of somebody else's desires. Okay, somebody else's life tree, someone else's tree. So that's what it's depicted as. So what happens is that when people do this to us, it is not our fault, okay? So move along, right? So that's one of your little projectors that I like to see. You're projecting, right? So these are people who are Kabbalah initiates, left-hand path magicians. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so this is the first primal understanding. That shouldn't have happened to you. That wound should not have happened to you, okay? And the reason why I say this is because, let me tell you now, society needs to hurry up and evolve, right? And this is why, okay? So when you're a kid and get hurt, 9 times out of 10, or I don't know, It depends who you got on your side, right? And if you got maybe a good mum and you ain't got good everywhere else, and you know, you might not win. But if you have an undesire and burning understanding of control and that you know who you are, you can carry on. You can do this, all right? You can do this. Yeah. I mean, they already predicted my life and told me, so I don't know. Let's carry on, shall we? So the second point is that when we understand how people treat us or make us believe that it's our fault if we're in a cult, especially black magicians, when they sit there, right, because I'm a black magician, but I'm in understanding, okay? A lot of them ain't, right? They're rising. Because some of them are younger, so it can be an age contest. Because when you're older, you understand a little bit more of wisdom, so then you can reach an understanding. But this only usually takes place when you're older. Why? Right? So, technically under religious underpinnings, I'm probably a Jew. Because I'm Kabbalians on this. And I like listening to their seminars. So I am possibly a Jewish woman. Right? So I'm going to underpin this in this video. So if anyone is understanding this situation right now, who I am, I'm trying to help you, right? And I've only just come into this understanding not long ago. A lot of people who can be in this Kabbalic understanding can be stuck here. So they're projecting that onto you, okay? So usually, okay, if you get like people who have initiated but they haven't reached I know energy, it's because they've hit Darth. And it's because they don't actually remember their own childhood. So I'm getting to one person who I know, who I helped. And he's an older man. Okay, so it's nothing to do with, like, you know, he's an older man, right? And I tried to help him, right? And I did it for free because I was just like, right, I'm going to see how this works, right? Because I want to see how it works. I want to see if, if it's similar experiences. So I'm observing as well. Right, so I'm just an observer, I'm observing too, but I have a capability of understanding it because I'm also in the realm of criminality and stuff like this. So I experienced a lot of criminality when I grew up, and it weren't by a parent always, it was by institutions, right? Anyway, so let's get into this, back into this. So remembering trauma, which I just went back to, how can we understand this? So usually what happens is that when you remember trauma, what they do is they reignite aspects of you who you think they think you should be back into you as well. So when you're in the courts and stuff like this, they can use it as a weapon. So what they do is they can try and make you relive it over and over again. So this is like an occult topic. I think Christians disagree with this. They say no. Okay, so that's the trouble. I do not consent, because Christians say we do not consent to aspects of like injustice, right? So we can understand that from this energy we can rise, okay? There. To support. But if there isn't any support, where are you falling? Here or wisdom, right? So you got to rise yourself, babes. So in understanding this connotation, we don't have any support services in society. You need to rise yourselves to wisdom. This is what everyone's doing. This is why everyone's rising themselves to wisdom. So you're going to find, because you're not answering their questions there, they're all going to rise there and understand their experiences they've had in their lives. And then this is how they can fall into an aspect of understanding or fall back into an aspect of justice, okay? So these people are speaking because they're upset, maybe. But they're going to fall into judgment because what? They don't want them to rise to. Ding! Right. A lot of the times it's because you've either made yourself go there because you shouldn't have done something that you shouldn't have done, right? So if you've done something wrong, you're naughty, right? Don't do it again, right? No smashing windows, no going around causing havoc around the town, none of that stuff. You're not allowed. So you'll fall to yourself in your own demise. But however, people can get dragged to there. Yeah, sure. So let's get into this. The second wound, okay? So the second wound is usually you don't even remember what happened to you. And it might be redirected to you to hurt somebody else, to make you think they're bad, they've got a correlation to your weird shit, and then it goes back onto you. But really the ultimate factor is it's to hide child abuse. Right? It's to hide your own traumas when you're a child. And the reason why this takes place is because they don't want you to know, because if you know, you can rise to this. So the reality is that they want you all in a Darth energy, right? They don't want you to rise any higher than that. You start rising any higher than that, you're in trouble, right? Do you know why? Because you pass the Christ consciousness. You're going all the way up to there. But the fact of the matter is, if you hit Darth, right, and you're stuck in Darth, you're not going anywhere. You're bossed up, aren't you? I've seen you all, right? So a lot of you all in there, I was shown that you, I was shown it. My hair's so hot. It's so hot. My hair's matted to my head. I was shown like a rise of people, and they all fell into Darth. Right? I saw this. Right? So there can be a lot of cultists out there who claim to have hit like an I know energy, but they're still in Darth or messing about in judgment. And another thing is that they say, oh yeah, you don't remember it properly and all this stuff, and it's because they don't want you to, right? You're in Darth, you need to rise, you need to understand, you need to remember these things that have happened to you so you can rise. Or if there's a conflict going on within society, then obviously you're in a Darth energy because, you know, everyone goes with it type things. Everyone's in Darth, right? And this is a mass situation that's going on right now. But on this note, when it comes to things like remembering childhood or not remembering it, or how the best way to go about it, is that it's not acceptable behaviour, okay? It's not acceptable behaviour. Do not accept it. Like, you know you have experienced it. You understand you've experienced it. It's not an I know energy. I know I experienced it. But it's not your I know energy. Your I know energy is I know it's over. I know I'm safe now. I know that it's over. So when you realise this, when you realise that you've not even risen yet, and I can see, I can see you in Darth. Right? Are you ready yet? I moved you once. You're still there. Keep going back to it. A Darth energy. And I don't understand what do you need? You know, there's people out there, right, that claim to be like these big on people, right? They're not. Because you're actually helping them. And you're not getting nothing for it. And it's like, oh yeah, that's the difference between a white magician and a black magician. Well, I'm a black magician. I'm going to destroy you right now. I'm telling you this, right? Because what you do is you put people in positions where you think there's a wound that's their fault as well. But somehow we're all one, and you must have created this goddamn space, so it's partly your fault. It's not true, right? It's called narcissism and blaming, right? You don't wish that kind of stuff on you, right? So it gets to the point where, right, people ultimately savagely destroying themselves, right? Not because it's because what people tell you. Like, so the first one, okay? The first one is that you don't actually listen to anybody who has given you an hard time, who's abused you, like sexually abused you, physically abused you, anything like that. Don't give them a damn day, because they're going to get power over you. And it doesn't matter how they have that power over you in whatever institution or position or anything like that, they will never have that power over you in a different way, because it's all in here, right? So when the reality is that it's in here, they can't take it when it's in here, can they? Think about it. Somebody has stripped you of everything, right? Let's give this an analogy, right? I'm 369 as well, right? And I know other people who are similar, right? But in American numerology, I'm 369, right? So I'm letting you know that it shouldn't happen. I'm letting you know, right, because I'm like a part of a code conduct of this, a 36900 code. How could I give you a Tesla download? Give you a Tesla download. Basically, don't listen to people who hurt you, right? And it can be a connotation of anything, but just don't listen to people like, so let's give this analogy, the bad apple theory. Okay, this is actually a theory, actually is real, right? And it's a bad apple theory, and it's like you can get some good ones and some bad ones, and that's just how it is. And in criminology, this is how we sort of like was taught in first year about, you know, corruption. Okay, so this is how we was taught. You get some bad apples, you get some good apples, and it was kind of like acceptance there of like, well, we need to weed out the bad guys, right? What happens when no one does this? Negative beings, right? So this is when the negative beings start coming out, because they're not actually negative beings, they just don't know how to deal with it. They've become a negative being because they don't know how to deal with it, right? Or they are jealous or anything like that. They haven't worked through those things, right? So a lot of the times they want to push it onto you because they don't want to feel it anymore. And then they'll push it onto you and your generation because they're evil, right? So sometimes this happens with advanced cultists. And the reality is that it's because they haven't solved their wounds. So now they've been binded into a contract to help that person who they've illicitly hurt. Okay, maybe it's occultish, maybe it's spiritual, maybe it's, you know, whatever, right? But you have now binded in yourself into a contract automatically to help that person or somebody similar to them, right? So your energy field now will be interlocked with whoever you were, right? If you're a bad person or whatever, if you've done something bad, like it'll interlock with somebody else's, then you have to now create it's not a karma tie, it's the fact that you have already done this to somebody. You have now created a karma tie with somebody in the future, so you might end up having to help somebody in the future who's had this happen to him, right? So this is why as well. And you can't use your own sort of like situations to try and get out of it. Like it's actually against universal laws. So what happens is when people have lied about like how we're supposed to like accept like corruption, if you're a black magician, it's not. It's because they've lost hope, and they lost hope a long time ago, right? They lost hope a long time ago, and it's sad, right? Some people do come back for you, and they do, and some of them do it in a negative way, but they do it in a negative way because in the end they're gonna have sacrifices, because they try and hide it through you that they've done it through you as well, and they haven't. You've actually healed yourself. There's another thing as well in advanced cultism. They try and make out that they've healed you, and you did it yourself, right? You did it ages ago. And this is why. It's because they don't want to look like they're the bad people again. But the reality is that, you know, people come from different walks of life. We are not all developed and evolved. We're not already there yet. But at the same time as well, I'd just like to say that some people just cruel, mean and nasty, okay, and they never will change. Now, this is where you have to understand that you have to move on, because they're not going to help. They're not going to want to. They don't like it. They want you to be through this process. They want you to keep going through the reliving trauma, reliving child abuse, trauma, saying that you're not good enough and stuff like this. Like reliving this. So if you've had any partners or anything like this, domestic violence, where you have people and they're just like, you're not a good enough person to be who you are, just remember, right, what I'm telling you. First, don't accept the fact that it's actually normal to be abused, right? Because you're normalising it for everybody else, which is wrong, okay? Because you're normalising it to happen to people now, and they're little people, and you're wrong for it. So that's actually quite disgusting, right? So a lot of you lot probably haven't got kids, you don't understand, you don't know what's going on, and then you will, and then you'll see. The only reason why some mums might agree with this, because maybe they've had children who've not had good experience in their lives. So it's another little action there. It's abusive. It's a negative being showing you that it's meant to be normal, and it's not normal, right? So, you know, it don't matter where there was it, whatever happened to him. I'm going to tell you now, Jesus is you, right? Jesus is you. So explain it like that instead next time. How about that? And then realise the person who actually really did it. Come on, Jeremiah. The first person who really did it to you. Who was it? I'm with you. Right? With love. Marry him. Right? Then you sit there, tell all your little Vance Curtis that I didn't help you. So what do you do to my... Now you be very careful, because you'll be the last one to get any help from me again.